Deconstructing APIs and RESTful APIs. Deconstructing APIs. What exactly is an API? An API is an application programming interface. It provides the info for how to communicate with the software component, defining the operations, what to call, inputs, what to send with a call, outputs, what you get back from a call, underlying data types. It defines functionalities independent of implementations. You can change what's going on behind the scenes without changing how people call it. What do people mean when they say API? They could be referring to a number of things. 1. An API interface definition file, API specification. Defines what you can call, what you send it, and what you get back. 2. A web service. The actual API implementation you can make calls to or the interface of that API implementation. 3. An API proxy. An application that controls access to a web service, restricting access and usage through the use of an API gateway. Reviewing web services. What is a web service? Different software systems often need to exchange data with each other. Bridging protocols, platforms, programming languages, and hardware architectures. A web service is a method of communication that allows two software systems to exchange data over the Internet. Systems interact with the web service in a manner prescribed by some defined rules of communication. How one system can request data from another system, what parameters are required, the structure of the return data, and more. The parts of a web service. The Web Service API describes how you interact with the web service. It may or may not, though it should, be explicitly defined in a file. It could be any sort of text in any type of file, but ideally should implement some standard API description language, or specification. The web service interface implementing the API is the code providing the structure to the application so it implements the API. This may be combined with the actual implementation code. The web service implementation itself is the actual code and application. Two main types of web services. SOAP web services. Traditional, more complex type. The communication rules are defined in an XML-based WSDL, Web Services Description Language, file. RESTful web services. Recent, simpler type. Use the existing HTTP communication protocol. Reviewing RESTful web services. RESTful web services. REST stands for Representational State Transfer. An architectural style where clients and servers exchange representations of resources using standard HTTP protocol. Other systems interact with the web service using the HTTP protocol. The HTTP request method indicates which operation should be performed on the object identified by the URL. Example RESTful web service calls. Data and resources are represented using arrays. Resources are accessed or changed using a fixed set of operations. GET/companies. GET/companies. Country equals France. GET/companies/3. POST/companies with JSON/XML and HTTP body. Delete/companies/3. PUT/companies/3 with JSON/XML and HTTP body. RESTful web service request methods. GET retrieves the current state of a resource in some representation, usually JSON or XML. POST creates a new resource. Delete deletes a resource. PUT replaces a resource completely. If the resource doesn't exist, a new one is created. Patch partially updates a resource. Just submitted data. Example RESTful web service response. JSON, JavaScript object notation. A lightweight data interchange format, without a lot of extra XML markup. Human readable results, usually JSON or XML. supports collections and maps. Learning about APIs. API documentation should include the list of all possible resources, how to get access to the API, and more. API portals accelerate onboarding by providing developers a centralized place for discovering all the tools they need to successfully use the API, which could include documentation, tutorials, code snippets, and examples. A way to register applications to get access to the API. A way to provide feedback and make requests. A way to test the API by making calls to it. Discover APIs in API directories and marketplaces. For example, Programmable Web, which has over 19,000 APIs. Walk through 1.1, explore an API directory and an API portal. Browse the Programmable Web API directory. Explore the API reference for an API, like Twitter. Explore the API portal for an API to be used in the course.